Good morning, everybody. All right. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're being kind to yourselves. This morning, I wanted to talk about the challenge of being kind to ourselves when we are feeling like a failure. This one is a tough one because our behaviors, when they are linked to our character, which for most of us, we feel like they are, and we've been taught that they are. We've been taught that what you do is who you are. So a lot of us struggle to separate. Most people struggle to separate unless they've learned about the internal framework. So the feeling of being a failure or the feeling of being a bad person, like being a bad mom, being a bad dad, being a bad partner, whatever it is, oftentimes is directly related to the fact that we cannot distinguish between our character and our behavior. And so when we are noticing that our behavior is consistently below what we would want it to be, that's when that feeling comes in stronger than ever. So we want to learn how to distinguish the difference between behavior and character. And it's so, so important, because if we can't, we're going to constantly feel badly about ourselves and who we are. And when we feel bad about ourselves and who we are, we behave worse. So it becomes this really painful cycle of doing things that we don't like that we're doing, and attaching specific meaning to that behavior about who we are. And then when you attach that behavior about who we are, we tend to look for confirmation in our environment and in our experiences that confirms that. And then we find it, because that's the task we're giving our brain to do. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And we end up feeling like, oh, I always do this. This is just who I am. Why is there something wrong with me? Why can't I just ever do such and such? I guess I'm not the kind of person who can. And it's just the spiral that we enter when really we're stuck in a behavior pattern that we don't yet know how to get out of. So when you are stuck doing a behavior over and over and over that causes you distress, we want to start associating that with being stuck in stage 2 of a skill. When we're doing a behavior over and over and over that we don't like, it doesn't mean that there's anything bad about us. It means that we're stuck in a behavior pattern, a thinking pattern that isn't serving us and is less than what we want to be doing. Otherwise, it wouldn't bother us. We wouldn't feel like a failure if that was really who we were meant to be. So if we were behaving in a way that lined up with who we believe ourselves to be and who we're okay with being, it wouldn't cause us distress. The distress points us to the fact that we are acting below what we want, below the standard of which we want to be acting on. So this feeling of being a failure, this feeling of being bad, or being whatever it is that's causing us distress, we want to start paying close attention and start looking toward what is the standard that I want to be living up to. So our pain shows us, our pain shows us where our standards should be. So if you are looking at yourself as a failure for doing such and such in your relationships with your kids, start making a list, and make it and make your list according to how you currently talk about it, and we'll work on adjusting the language later. So the name of your list could be reasons I'm a failure as a mom, or reasons I'm a failure as a partner, or reasons why I don't deserve X, or reasons why I reasons why I can never get better. Now, those aren't actual reasons. There's a problem with that, but that's the way that your brain has currently been filing that information. So it will be easy for your brain to find those reasons. So you're not actually a failure. You're not actually a bad mom. You're not actually a bad partner, but your brain believes that you are. So it's going to be easier for you to find that evidence if you're using the correct prompt, essentially. And right now, the correct prompt, according to your brain, is I'm a failure, and here are the reasons why. So we're gonna, so that's just important to know. So we'll make that list, and we start looking systematically at all of the reasons under that list, and we'll start processing them differently. We'll start processing them more objectively and figure out why we behave that way, why that pattern, why that pattern is a pattern that we're stuck in, why that thinking pattern or that behavior pattern is serving us, what need it meets for us, how does it keep us safe. And as we start doing that, we start understanding ourselves more. Now, this can be a fairly difficult exercise, but I do have some resources on that in the curriculum and in the both the free group and in this and in the clients only group. So if you need help, put it in the comments, let me know, and I will make sure that you get the help you need. So you're going to start making your list of reasons why you're a failure, reasons why you are such and such. Now, one of you submitted a support ticket recently about watching your kids, be really engulfed in media or spend too much time doing such and such. So mentally, your brain is thinking, oh, I'm a failure because my kids are always on media, or I'm a failure because I never play with my kids, or I never, do such and such with them, or I always give them blank. Those things that you feel guilty about or you feel shame about, those are your reasons that point to the fact that that you are a failure. So we're going to write all the reasons we have, and it's going to be painful to look at that list because you are looking at a ton of evidence, what feels like a ton of evidence that that statement is true, that you are actually a failure. But you already believe all of those things about yourself. You already, that's already your truth. You're just sort of facing it. Now, facing the truth is painful. Facing the truth about ourselves and our behavior, it is a painful thing. And so we want to be gentle with ourselves when we're doing that. And it's just kind of a painful part of the process, is looking at that list and making and facing the fact that we engage in all of these behaviors that we feel negatively about. So you're going to make that list, and then we're going to start looking for evidence to the contrary. So we'll take that first thing on the list. So say for example, that the mom who submitted that that support request about her kids being on media all the time. So she has reasons: I'm a failure as a mom. My kids are on media all the time. I don't give them healthy snacks. She's got all these reasons listed. So we'll take that first reason, and we're going to start looking for evidence to the contrary. So right now, because you've been asking your brain to look for reasons that you're a failure, that the only link that your brain has for that information is that behavior means you're a failure. Because in your brain, you have this framework around what it means to be a good mom. And I bet you on your framework around what a good mom means, it's a mom who cooks for her kids, a mom who plays with her kids, a mom who engages with her kids, a mom who never yells, a mom who, you have all of these beliefs about what a good mom is. And so when you're acting below that standard, it means you're a bad mom. So, so the second thing you're going to do is make a list about what it means to not be a failure, or what it means to be successful, right? So what it means to be a successful mom or a successful partner. And you're probably going to have a list of behaviors that you don't engage in, which is why it's so easy for your brain to say, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. Okay, so we have these two lists: reasons I'm a failure, and what a good mom is, like failure as a mom, what a good mom is, or failure as a person, failure as a partner, whatever your current struggle is. And then we are going to have a list of what the opposite is, what it means to be a good partner, a good parent, a good person. And we're going to start listing the behaviors that we currently associate with being that. Then we're going to go back to our first list, and we're going to take that first piece of evidence. Okay, so my kids are always on media. And we're going to look for other evidence, or other meanings that we could attach to that evidence. So my kids are on media all the time. Now that is still true. That is still in our experience. So we're not pretending that that's not true. That's still part of our experience, that our kids are on media all the time. But we're going to shift our belief. We're going to look at possibly shifting our belief about what that means. So what else could it mean that your kids are on media all the time? It could mean that you don't have enough support in your family. It could mean that you're overwhelmed as a parent. It could mean that you are afraid to engage in play because play didn't feel safe as a child. It could mean that that you're stretched too thin. It could mean that you're so focused on work that you don't have time for play. It could mean so many different things. But right now, the only meaning you have attached to that is that you're a bad mom. So we're going to go systematically through this list, and we're going to start looking for other losing the word right now, for other interpretations of that evidence. And we just want to have at least a couple of things. Now, you'll get better at this over time, because looking at other interpretations of the evidence is just a skill. So you're not very good at it yet because you haven't been asking your brain to do that. And that's okay. You'll get better at it. So we're looking at other interpretations of the evidence. Now, over time, the other interpretations of the evidence are going to become more meaningful. Like, for example, when you're first doing this list, you're probably not going to be able to find an answer like, play didn't feel safe for me as a child, so I avoid it. That is more of a deeper meaning, that you would probably need to understand what your triggers are and how those work and all of those things. And which is where I come in. I can help talk you through what, where this behavior comes from. And as I walk you through it, you'll start to see why, the deeper reasons. So you might be able to find the reasons, like I'm really busy, or I'm overwhelmed, or I have a lot, or I don't have anybody to help me, and I'm the only parent in the home, or something like that. You might be able to find those surface level reasons. But the funny thing is that, well, it's not really funny, but the interesting thing is when those are removed. So let's say, for example, you do end up having a babysitter. You do actually have enough space and time, but the behavior still remains. That's when it really starts to feel like it's a part of your character, because you're like, wait a second, I do have a babysitter. Wait a second, I do have the space and time, but I'm still avoiding playing with my kids, and I'm still choosing to put them on media instead. And that's when the character statement gets really solidified of, oh, I must be a bad mom. I don't even want to play with my kids. I can, but I don't want to. And then it starts to attach more deeply. But really, probably you have a deeper reason for avoiding that behavior. There's something about playing with your kids. There's something about being fully engaged with them that feels deeply unsafe. And you might not understand what that is until you start to process it, and process it probably with some help. So if you are, so all of that being said, your homework would be to make those lists. Reasons whatever you're down on yourself for. So a character statement, right? So I'm a selfish person, or I'm a bad partner, or I'm terrible with my emotions, or I lose it all the time, or I'm a yeller, or whatever it is. You have this character statement about who you are as a person that's causing you distress. We're going to write our list of reasons the evidence we have for that being true, then we're going to write the list of reasons for the opposite of that. So I'm a patient partner, or I'm well connected with my emotions, or somebody who's well connected with their emotions does this, 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 and this. And then we're going to start looking for other interpretations of the evidence. So that would be the homework that I want to give to you. And I also want to make sure that you're putting your questions in the comments so I can help you in the places that you get stuck. And remember that you can put in a support ticket to be on one of the Monday morning calls to talk through some of this, or you could come to either the Wednesday afternoon or the Monday afternoon, the Wednesday morning or the Monday afternoon calls, and we could talk through some of this and get to the next step for you. Okay. Be gentle with yourself. This is difficult work, and it's hard to face ourselves. It's hard to face our behaviors and our motivations. And so be gentle with yourself as you're doing that, because you deserve gentleness. You are just a person who is dealing with your own experiences and your own trauma and trying to do better. And it's difficult. So I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.